Welcome to I Hate It Here, the podcast for HR and people professionals, making the hardest job in the world just a little bit easier. I'm Hibba Youssef.
I don't believe in the golden rule. I'm a platinum rule person. Treat people the way they want to be treated. If a person does not want you to email them all times of the night, or they prefer an email over a phone call, especially for bad news, honor that. That's not a hard ask. Don't ask them for information that they're not ready to give you because you haven't extended them an offer. Like, what are you doing?
Honestly, what I do for work is probably the least interesting thing about me. And I'm sure some of your employees feel the same way. There's so much more to your employees than just their job titles or what they do day to day. Take Shane in marketing, he's not just about writing emails, or Ashley in HR, she's not just about payroll and benefits. Every employee has a story. They have talents, motivations, and potential waiting to be unlocked. And the predictive index helps you understand them all, not just the role they play. It creates stronger managers, happier teams, and we all know when you truly understand your people, your business actually performs better. Want to learn more? Head over to trypi.com/IHateItHere. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast. I still haven't really figured out how to exactly open up an episode, but I'm going to keep trying things until something sticks. So if you have a preference for how I start an episode, please let me know. Anyways, I've been hearing from a lot of friends that are looking for jobs that the job market is tough. And on the flip side, I've been hearing from a lot of my recruiting friends that recruiting is also really tough. So is everyone just having a bad time? Today's guest is going to get into that and more. And I've been so excited to record this episode because within the first few minutes of meeting today's guest, I knew she was somebody who likes to tell it like it is. In fact, we yapped away the first time we met and it felt very kindred. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Kiersten Greggs. She's the founder of Trap Recruiter and a recognized recruiting leader with 24 years of experience. She's been named a top recruitment influencer in 2024 and in 2023, the HR Unite TA Trailblazer. What a tongue twister. She's passionate about rebuilding trust, fostering relationships, and driving accountability in hiring. She helps organizations attract and retain top talent while empowering job seekers from historically excluded backgrounds. Keirsten also hosts Trap Chat, leads workshops, and has been featured in BBC World Service Radio, Forbes, Fast Company, HR Brew, and your favorite podcast, I Hate It Here. Kiersten, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Honestly, the second I met you, I was like, wait a minute, I think I want to be best friends with you. And we live so close to each other.
I know. We still have not figured out a way to get together in real life.
We need to. I'm going to prioritize it. I've been so bad lately. I'm just like, I just want to sit at home and read. So like, if you just want to go somewhere and quietly just like look at each other, I'd be into
like
that.
Barnes and Noble? That was
fun. Yeah. We could go to Barnes and Noble together and then each pick out a book for each other based on if we think the other person would like it. And that could be a whole friendship bonding experience.
I love it.
I would be into it. This season on the pod, I've been asking everyone, what's one area or topic that you're really interested in right now? And I've been disclaimering it as please not HR related. Like I'm genuinely curious. What is something you're really interested in right now?
Wow.
I know. That's everyone's reaction. They're like, oh.
Nothing new. I'm still interested in puzzles.
Love that.
Logic puzzles specifically. I found in a book that I had not been in since 2003.
Yeah.
So a logic puzzle book. So I've got that, but it is time to re-up and get some new ones of those. So I think that's all.
Logic puzzles are fascinating to me because we used to have to do them in school. I don't know if that up. I don't know if I made that up or my parents just wanted us to do them. So like we did logic puzzles growing up and now I'm like, I think the entire society could benefit from doing a logic puzzle.
I'm pretty sure that I picked up like putting things together that already had pictures or putting puzzles together, especially logic puzzles, because I am probably the least artistic person. Like I can color between the lines, but it still looks horrible. Like it's just horrible.
Same. When everyone was like, adult coloring books are going to calm you down. I'm like, this stresses me out. I'm stressed.
Correct.
how is this supposed to calm me down? All my friends are like coloring and I'm over here like sharpening the pencils like, oh God, what if I pick colors that don't match? And they're like, I'm the same way. But it's so funny because one of my favorite TV shows is The Challenge, which is on MTV. And they do like,
Mhm.
it used to be like the Real World Road Rules Challenge. Now it's just
Yeah.
The Challenge and they bring people from like other shows too. But there's always a section where they have to do puzzles. And it's so funny because it's like these really fit people being like, I'm so bad at puzzles. And every time I'm like, oh my God, if I was on this show, I might actually be like, I'm kind of okay at puzzles. Like, this is fun for me. But they all get so stressed out about the puzzle piece. And I'm like, just go home and do logic puzzles. Like, what's so hard about this? Like, go have fun with them.
It's my favorite. Um, Probably why I'm a recruiter, because it's pretty much the same thing.
I can't wait to get into that because I've been doing so much recruiting. So we are a team of, I always joke 1.5 because when I'm not doing chief people officer stuff, I'm content creating. But we've been doing a lot of recruiting. And
Mhm.
honestly, some days you're right. It feels like a puzzle. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all these pieces and I'm like, how do all these fit together? And is this causing this
Mhm.
and this doesn't fit? So I'm pumped that you brought that up because we're going to talk about that today. And I thought maybe I would break our episode into like 2 pieces. The first, where we like address the job seeking market, because I think a lot of job seekers are struggling, and people listening to this potentially might be looking for a new job and wondering like, what can they do? And then I want to talk about the recruiting experience because it's like 2 pieces of a puzzle. You're right.
Mhm.
Um, so starting there, like, what are you seeing in today's market?
It's tight. Um, and for those of us who do live here in the DC metro area, specifically, or even in an area where government jobs are prevalent, um, we have added an additional segment of the population back
Oh,
into
yeah.
the job market, given all of the layoffs. Whether they're going to stick or not is yet to be seen. However, where we are right now, that influx of thousands more people into the job market is causing an impact. And even so, a lot of people aren't paying attention to the non, federal government roles that are being slashed as well, because they're still in the thousands in some instances as well. Like, some of these larger companies are still laying people off by the truckload.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting because we're both in DC. We're both in the DC area, but it used to be like the federal government's the most stable job, like any
It,
right, and now that's like not the case.
no.
And I mean, I'm a tech startup dork. Like I have now worked at 4 different startups. I love them, and I'm used to it not being safe. I'm used to like, are we going to run out of money? I'm used to like these types of things, and now I'm just like, wait, so where is safe? Like if tech's not safe,
I don't know.
the government's not safe, where are people going to get any sort of job security?
So again, education, um, healthcare is still a big market, and technology is still a big market, but we're probably not going to be focused so much on what we think about. So we might be thinking about fintech. We
Yeah.
might be thinking about healthcare technology. We might be thinking about environmental sciences, green energy. Like, there are jobs in those sectors, absolutely, but everybody doesn't know that they exist because they're so used to thinking about employment in linear senses. Because even when you say technology, we're not just talking about software engineers and folks with a GitHub repo. We're talking about accountants. We're talking about recruiters. We're talking about chief people officers. We're talking about logistics, like huge contracts administration. Like, there's so many positions under these tech companies, under these healthcare companies, under these education companies. It's not necessarily schools. And a lot of folks overlook state government jobs as well.
Mm.
They don't really think about, like, your city has opportunities, your state has opportunities for roles, and they stay open a lot of time for a long time because, again, they hire differently. I'll leave it at that. And while that process is designed to be labor intensive,
Mm.
there's not a great deal of focus on, like, hiring recruitment professionals or talent acquisition professionals. We're still in this is personnel, where everything's kind of thrown in there. Or you have HR people who take the application and stamp it, send the offer letter, and the hiring manager or whatever like does all the work. They may post a job for them, but that's about it. So they're not really involved in like the trend of talent acquisition. But yeah, there's opportunities out there, but no, I'm not going to pretend that this is a good time to be looking for, or a fun time to be looking for a job.
Yeah, I have so much, and I say this so often, I have so much empathy for anybody who's out of a job or looking for a job. It is just knowing the stats that like the average American doesn't have enough in savings to like cover a catastrophic event, and then looking at the massive amount of people who were laid off in this last year. I have so much empathy for them because this is just like an untenable situation for a lot of people. And I wish that more people understood that like people are exhausting their like entire life savings, depleting their 401k simply to live because the job market has been so tough.
Absolutely.
So I always try to make a point to say that because I just have so much empathy. I wish I could help everybody. It's like my problem in life. I'm like, I want to help everyone, but it's hard because there's not, and I'm hopeful that like maybe we'll see the job market turn around. Like, do you think like at the rate we've been going for almost a year and a half, 2 years, like what do you think's going to happen in the next few months to a year? Not that we can predict, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I've learned not to predict, not to try and predict anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not in a let's wait and see type of situation or that mindset.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to be as strategic and as proactive as I can be. But, we have to be clear that there are a lot of parts of hiring and job searching that are out of our control. So we have to maintain and do the things that we can do, the things that are in our control. I feel like I'm at an AA meeting.
I love this.
The serenity prayer, I see it.
We can only control so much. You're right.
We can only
like remembering that. And then obviously like my goal is to help people who are listening to us who maybe are job seeking. Cause like you've been a recruiter, you've been in recruitment for 24.
Hey, calm down. 2 decades.
Sorry.
Calm down.
Sorry.
It sounds better when I say 2 decades than 25 years. You see?
Like you've seen some shit.
And this is new shit. Okay. This is nothing like it's been before. I said this in, the 2020, 2021, even 2022, that, this is so much different, but this is so much different than even that. Because for all intents and purposes, people have long forgotten about the pandemic. But people are still getting COVID. People are still getting sick. People are still getting these illnesses and, workforces or groups of, teams of people are being wiped out in terms of like being out of office because of illnesses. And we're not talking about that kind of stuff anymore. And then, in other situations where there would be like an extended leave for someone, you would bring in a contractor or you bring in someone to fill the gap or you divide stuff on the team. But the way that things are going today, you never know when someone is going to leave. And then a lot of people don't want to devote the time to even find a new person. So they kind of just move on and stack the work up on someone else. And honestly, that's what's happened a lot with recruiting teams. That's why they're so burnt out. That's why, you still have a lot of recruiters who are looking for roles. I'm so excited that, one of my good friends, Aaron, it's been almost 2 years. He got a new role. He's like, I'm taking the green banner down, open to work. But, at first he was kind of there were a few people, that had that same timeline, but more and more, his timeline was mirrored a lot of other people's as well. So,
I, first of all, have so much respect for you that you are like, we haven't seen this before, because sometimes I talk to people who are like, this is just like the '08 recession. This is just
it's not.
And I'm like, I keep joking, like in unprecedented times. I'm ready for some precedent. Like, can someone tell me? Because I'm over here like, what's going to happen? People ask me all the time, like, what do you think is going to happen in the next 6? I'm like, I don't know. literally, I wish I could tell you, because I would tell all of you. But like Erin, like I know Erin as well, like more and more people are telling stories of being unemployed for a year, 2 years, and they've been actively trying to find roles. And I'm like,
Actively.
That's going to become, I think, more of the norm now. And now we have just the piling on the work that you said, I think is so true. There are so many people that are burnt out because they're doing the role of 5 people because no one will hire. They don't have headcount or they don't have budget to hire anybody else.
Correct.
So I just think like this has become it. Okay, for job seekers, I think we touched on like today's market, what we're seeing in today's environment. Like I think the number one question I get from people is like, how can I really stand out in a hiring process? So
wow,
that's a loaded question.
It is. So, I think a lot of people overlook the key thing in the job search, what I would call the linchpin that holds everything together, and that's networking. And it really is. And I'm saying that because networking touches every single part of your job search. When people come to me for career coaching, they're like, oh, can you do my resume? And a lot of times I'm like, the first question I ask them, especially for folks who are experienced and beyond their, their entry level or even, 2 or 3 years of experience, I was like, I'll ask them, like, when's the last time you looked for a job? They're like, oh, here, 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 here. But then I'm saying, okay, and then how did you get that job? Was it because you submitted your resume? At what point did you give your resume to the job that you have now? And most of them, and I'm not saying like 6 out of 10, I'm saying 9 out of 10 will say the resume was an afterthought. The resume came at a point after they had already been in talks been in conversations. They may have already been communicating with a recruiter. They may have already been talking to their friend or their family member who works at that organization. They may have already made some type of connection to that specific role. And the resume was like, oh yeah, like you're going to have your first interview on this date. Make sure you send your resume. Like it's that kind of situation. So I always ask that question because I don't know where it came from, but we're conditioned to actually think like the only thing you need is a resume. And even then, I did not work in this time. Like I came I started recruiting like in 2000, January 2000, the first day of work in the year 2000. Wow. And yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I loved Y2K. We were all like, is the world going to end? I don't know.
Right. And I went and became a technical recruiter at a search firm. But yes. But again, people were bringing, like physically handing resumes to people. Mm-hmm. So the job search was different. Or even coming into the interview, handing their resume. I mean, there were times that a hiring manager was telling me, hi, I met Joe Smith last night. And Joe Smith sounds amazing. Okay. He's coming in today for an interview. We're going to talk to him about this job. You see what I'm saying? Like there wasn't that matching already going on. Yeah. So I tell people networking. Networking is the big thing. But the key there, how to stand out, is to not look at networking as transactional. And I think a lot of times we do that. We spend a lot of time, like our first contact with someone is not necessarily, hey, do you know Anne? Oh, you do? Would it be okay if you introduced me to her? Instead of, hi, Anne, I know Kiersten. I'm reaching out because I saw you have this job posted. It's like, come on, like, you don't know me. Or just like sending that message and wanting something in return, or saying, hey, can I pick your brain? How many of us hate that email? How many of us?
Don't trigger me right now. If one more man building an HR startup messages me on LinkedIn and says, can I pick your brain?
No.
You cannot. You can pay me to give you my thoughts. And even then, I'm not going to give you all my thoughts.
Can I send you an invoice?
Yeah, honestly, like I have a friend who replies when anyone says, can I pick your brain? She'll reply with, sure, here's my link. You can pay me before I get on the call.
Correct. And that's fine. I reached out to someone the other day that I haven't talked to in a while. Like, we haven't actually spoken in a minute. Yeah. We send Instagram memes, but that's not real life. So I was like, so I said, and I was like, hey, we should catch up. Let's have coffee.
Yeah.
And he asked me, he's like, oh, what can I do for you? I was like, no. I was like, this is not that kind of conversation. Like, came prepared thinking that I was going to ask for something. And I just wanted to like catch up. I didn't want the conversation to be that way. And he wasn't, doing that as like, a slight to me. Like, and again, I've never done that before. So I think he maybe thought like, hey, she must need something.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? But we have to keep maintaining those relationships. We have to cultivate the relationships we already have, and we have to build with authenticity the ones that we want. And networking is the way to do that.
Yeah. I just like you and I met at an event, and within 5 minutes, I was like, this is a real person. Within 5 minutes of talking to her, I was like, she's a real one. Because like I'm not really good at being fake. I actually have no fake bone in my body. People usually know where they stand with me.
Shocker.
From the look on my face. Like, I'm like, if I like you or not from the look on my face when I see you, like, you'll know. But it's so interesting because I also had a recent experience where like I sent a friend, I was a professional acquaintance, like we met through the world of HR, and I sent him a gift saying like it had been months in the making and I'd been meaning to do this, and he had, I sent him a gift, and he sent me a voice note back and was like, oh my God, whatever you need, I'm there for you. Like, call me if you need this, any introductions you need. And I had to send him back a message to be like, hey, like, just so you know me, like, I'm not giving you a gift because I'm asking for anything in return. I just want to say thank you for like what you've already contributed to my life. And like, will there be a time where I need to ask you for something? Yeah, maybe, but that's not my intent when I meet people. And I think that is also a shift in networking that has made me successful in getting to know people. Is like, sure, there are people I want to ask things from, but I'm also genuinely like curious to know real people who are doing this work and like what they're trying to do in the world. I'm more interested in that than rolling in and being like, hey, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
So I think like that authenticity is picking up. Like, so if you are looking for a job, like look at your network, look to see who you're connected with, have conversations. Like, it doesn't have to be like, hey, I saw this job on the job board. Can you help me get it? It's like, no, have conversations, because you never know who they know. You never know who's coming to them and saying, who do you have in your back pocket? So I think just like keeping those connections strong is always really important.
Yeah. And that will happen naturally. Just like you sent a gift, like you made a connection, and that person was like, hey, listen, like that's an offer, that's an offer. So you weren't like, hey, they weren't like, oh, thank you for the gift. It's like, oh, glad you liked it. By the way, can you see what I'm saying? Like, you see the difference?
Never. Yeah.
I know you wouldn't, but that happens because if your intent had been to send this gift to get this person to respond to you, to get, a window so that you could ask them for the favor that you wanted, and that says a lot, because that's likely how that person is being engaged on a regular. So when you did something different, it was like, wow. And it goes back to your question. That's how you stand out, because they're going to remember like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And you also never know, like, I think the other thing too is like, you never know who your friends know. So like, I feel lucky that I have like some friends in HR, some friends not in HR, but it's like some of my most interesting introductions have come from my friends that aren't in HR.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is cool. Like, I'm about this. And like, they know people. Like, I don't know. I think networking to me is, people always tell me I'm really good at it. And I'm like, really? Because all I want to know are like people's secrets. Like I have no chill when it comes to small talk. Like, I don't want to be like, what's the weather like? I'm like, I want to know you. What are you passionate about? What are you excited about? Like, who do you also hate? Like, those are the conversations. That's what I want to know.
You already know that answer. So.
I think I asked you like 5 minutes in, like, oh, you hate this person too?
And I had yes. I was like, absolutely. But
like those things I think are just interesting. Okay, we could do a whole episode on all the people we hate, but that's,
No, I don't amplify voices that I hate.
Yeah. We tuck them away and we don't pay attention to them. And then we amplify the ones that are trying to do good in this world, because there are so many people out there trying to revolutionize HR, honestly, and we desperately need it. We desperately need it. But okay, question for you. I keep asking all my recruiting friends this, and I think it's silly, but I love asking it. Why does everybody think that you need to beat the ATS? Like, how did this become a thing?
I have no idea.
One influencer on TikTok that said that we all need to learn to beat the ATS. I'm confused. Why is this a thing? Do I need to beat the ATS?
There's no such thing. There is no such thing as beating the ATS. I tell people there's no person in the ATS that is snatching your resume out and shredding it, throwing in the trash. And I say that because the ATS is just a filing cabinet. It's a digital filing cabinet. Please understand that. Is it, in some instances, ranking you? Is it giving feedback based on the way you may have answered questions? Is it pulling keywords and all those things? Absolutely. But guess what it's not doing? It is not rejecting you, and it is not making the decision. A human being has to do that. Someone has to actually tell it to do that,
Yeah.
Again, someone's going to be like, no, that's not true. And I'm not speaking in absolutes. I'm not saying that there's a requirement that you have a full scope polygraph and you say, I don't. No, you're not being considered for that role. So in that instant, yes, the ATS said this person's not considered for that role. But what the ATS did not do was pull you off of that job rec. The ATS scored you and said, this is why this person's not qualified. And the recruiter still had to say, oh, you're right. Because there are times that, no, you're not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's no such thing. And I don't know where it came from, but the best thing I can say is that
we got it.
You have a lot of people that are given the opportunity to talk about jobs who are not involved in the hiring process. And they use their experience. They use these antidotes. Mm-hmm. They use these one-offs, and they are tremendous at storytelling. They are engaging. And when you have someone who is in a, for lack of a better word, desperate situation of finding a job, and someone tells you, this is the way to do it. This is how you beat the ATS. This is how you trample on recruiters because they're evil. This is how you do it. You are looking for a job, and you are going to try and figure out the way to get to that goal. I do not fault you for that. I fault people who are selling these services, who are selling these classes and these things, and even some resume services on that they don't work. And they don't work because there could be an industry difference. Yeah. There could be a level difference. There could be a culture difference, company culture wise, that those things don't work. And again, it worked for you that time, but there is no exact formula for why someone got hired. 2 + 2 does not equal 4 in hiring. Sorry, it just does.
I mean, like, it's very true. Like, we see it all the time. Also, I'm going to get to the bottom of who invented this beat the ATS origin story. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to do my investigative work on it. But some
weirdo tech person did that. Someone that sold these people the ATS. Okay. And then they said, how can I leverage this to get more money? Because so then they said, ooh, job seekers are beating your ATS. Do you know why you're getting so many people apply for your jobs? Hey, you got my blood pressure up.
Sorry. I mean, the podcast is called I Hate It Here, but I did not mean for you to hate it here while we are recording. Sorry. But no, I feel the same way. That's how I feel every time I see one of those stupid posts that are like, the green banner open to work is hurting you. I'm like,
No, it's not.
Fuck up. Shut up. That is not how I view it. Me as HR, I'm like, good, now I know this person's looking for a job. I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't want to hire that person because they're looking for a job. That's ridiculous.
I wrote something on why, like the pros and cons, like I literally, like a publication came in, like literally why the pros and cons of the green banner. Like, what is the point of having LinkedIn? You're there looking for a job. It's a professional networking site. If you're looking for a job, like, why are you shy about looking for a job on a job site? Like, that's ridiculous.
That's like being on a dating app, but being like, I don't date. What are you doing here? What? Why are you on this app then?
Building my pipeline. What are you talking about?
Building my roster. Come on, be for real. No, just
There
kidding.
you go.
No, but it's wild to me. The hot takes, every now and then when I see somebody with a hot take, what I usually do is I go click their profile and then I look at their background and I'm like, are they qualified to give me a hot take? Yes or no? And very quickly you can figure out if the hot take is I just want clicks and engagement, or if I truly have a hot take about how we do something incorrectly because I have been the person who's had to do it incorrectly for several years. So I just think like there's a lot of interesting things on social media that like I've now done my thing where I like now go investigate. I'm like, should I believe this thing? Let me go invest. I'm becoming Mary Kate and Ashley. They're the only two investigators I could think of. When they're like little kid detectives. Okay. One last question on Job Seeker, and then I want to pivot to like talk more about recruiters and how we can help them. What's your take on using AI for resumes or job searching?
Yep. Absolutely. Do it. Why wouldn't you?
What are you using it for? Yeah, what are you using it for?
Everything. I have a whole series that I did this summer called AI tools for job seekers. I'll send you links to the videos. We'll drop it in the chat. I still have to go ahead and compile everything and take it out of our Google Doc and actually put it someplace that other people can access it where all the information is compiled. But I'll get to that. Use it for tailoring your resume. And I say this because everybody will say, tailor your resume to the job. No, be efficient. Let AI do that. And I'm saying this because, let me give that disclaimer. This is for people who already have a functioning resume that they're submitting, but they would like to they don't have the time, or they're not able to spend the time all the time in fine tuning and rearranging all of those things for them. Let it also send you jobs. Set up search criteria for it to send you jobs. So that's again one less thing you need to do. It should help you be more efficient. Use it for storytelling. Use it for communication. Storytelling is big. I mean, we're not going to pretend that every recruiter can tell you there's someone that they reached out to because of a video that they saw on TikTok or LinkedIn or Facebook, or they had a picture on Instagram and they were like, wow, like this person's kind of dope. I want to talk to them. So do that. Use it for that if you want to. It has to be authentic. I don't have a TikTok. I mean, I have the account. I don't post TikTok videos because
you should.
I don't know how. Why? I don't do it. Like, I don't engage on that platform. So why would I do that just because other people are doing it? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just go there and make absurd hot take videos, or then people in the comments are like, oh my God, she's wild.
But that's not authentic. That's not authentic to me, though. So
yeah, that's why you do anything.
That's not why I want to do it. So I'm not going to do that. And use it for your job searching. Use it for your resumes. Use it to help you find positions. Ask it questions. Use it for communication. So instead of, again, hi, I'm Joe, and you send this email that's like this long. I don't know why I keep picking on people named Joe. I apologize.
Joe's everywhere. We love you. There's nothing. We're not against the name Joe.
Now, I don't know why that name is coming to my mind.
We'll use it.
Like use it to help you craft your communications. And I'm saying this again, it is a tool. It is not the answer. It's not the microwave. It's not going to pop the popcorn for you. Like,
I love popcorn. It's my favorite food.
Yeah. It's like using the stove. If people still do that.
I know. For popcorn, like an air pot?
No. I'm saying it's not the micro. That's why I said it's not the microwave. It's not going to pop your popcorn. It's more like the stove. You have to stir it. You have to check on it. You have to do all those things. You can push the popcorn button and walk away. Can't do that with your job search.
There's so many interesting things. Even like taking a JD, dropping the JD, like if you see an open job. Dropping an open job rec into ChatGPT and saying, what are some common interview questions they might ask you if I'm interviewing for this role?
Perfect. Or even, how does my resume align with this? What do I need? What else do I need to do? But I have to also say that when you say, hey, should they use it? Yes, absolutely. You know why? Because recruiters are using it, because hiring teams are using it. And yes, we can recognize when a resume is 100% AI crafted.
Yeah.
because of the way it's written, but I need job seekers to, job seekers are much more engaged and much more knowledgeable than they were when I first started recruiting. You're going to recognize that the job description is AI generated as well. So yeah, we have to get to a point where we're not slamming on each other for doing the same things, add yourself into it, like let it use your voice, like get more comfortable using prompts. I use GPT and Claude together, for example, like I'll ask them the same question and see how their answers compare. I'm getting used to I'm getting more comfortable, crafting my prompts, and it's starting to understand me better. It's starting to use my voice better. I'm reluctant to, but I need to check to see if they still consider me a white man. I did that one prompt where it was like, what do I, based on what you know of me, like what's online, what do I look like? And I was like a white man in a suit with diversity books sitting on the desk.
That's so cute.
I was so embarrassed.
Okay, well, just wait for this. I asked it, and it painted me as a Black man with headphones. And I was like, honestly, ChatGPT, this is a compliment. Thank you. I swear, I was like, wow, it just assumed I was masculine, which like I could understand because I'm like very direct when I'm interacting with it. But I was like, how did it ascertain that the color of my skin?
I would like to know why, and again, I'm on a sweatshirt right now with pearls. Like, I wear a business mullet, first of all. Like, and I'm thinking, do I sound like a white man? Like, do I actually
maybe
communicate like a white man?
Bless, teach me. Like then I said, okay, so I was like, okay, wrong. I'm not a man. So then it made me a white woman. And I was like, cool. I am not white. I'm Arab. And then it made me a woman with hair and pants. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had to stop after that because I was like, I can't take this anymore. Like,
so here's the dilemma. Do we continue to teach AI to be smarter? Or
that's what we're doing by talking to it, honestly.
I said, do we do that? Or like, do we correct it? Or do we, again, use it to the point that we do, double check, and then do our own, like use it as just like a guide. Like, yes, an outline. Like if you're stuck with where to start, hey, can you create an outline? You know, again, you don't got to use every single point. You don't got to use everything, but it's a dilemma. But yes, job seekers use AI. Yes, absolutely.
Love it. Okay. A job title doesn't define who someone is. There's so much more to someone's story than what they do for work. In fact, I often say what I do for work is probably the least interesting thing about me. And I bet some of your employees may feel the same. Jamie in IT, she's not just about fixing tickets. And Mike in sales, he's more than hitting quotas. Every employee has a story. Every employee has talents, motivations, and potential waiting to be unlocked. And that's where the predictive index comes in. PI helps you understand the whole person, creating stronger managers and happier teams. And we all know when you truly understand your people, your business can actually perform better. Check out trypi.com/IHateItHere to learn more. Now to talk about the recruiters, because truly from most of my recruiting friends and doing my own recruiting, it's not really fun right now for a lot of reasons. But I want to start with inefficiencies. Like, what are the biggest inefficiencies you see in TA processes? I got to write these down because I'm probably doing them.
I'm going to say number one right now is the long interview processes. I see the most complaints on these long interview processes, and recruiters are going to jump in your mentions and explain why on the RACI chart they're not responsible for the interview process. But I need them to understand that you need to use your voice and you are empowered, and you need to tell people why this doesn't work. So the interview process being too long, like stop participating in it. If you don't, you're not responsible for ensuring that 6 interviews for the same thing and plus of this, plus of that, plus a project. No, be more engaged in the hiring process. Like, you're capable, do it. That's number one. Communication failures. This is a big one. And I'm not just talking about from the recruiter to the job seeker. Recruiters, again, aren't communicating with hiring teams. They're not communicating with the other stakeholders in the organization. They're coming on your show and they're saying why they hate it here. they're do they still call it this? Even though it's like they're subtweeting.
What am I going to say? Xing? No, tweeting.
No, but I'm saying, like, and I say sub, because I was like subtweeting, they're doing all those things. They're going on Reddit and they're copying and pasting your internal communications. I'm sorry. And then you have a lot of recruiters who are not really taught or really bought into what this job entails. They are seeing it extremely transactional. They don't enjoy it, so they shouldn't do it. They're over relying on technology for matching, for selecting, for reviewing, instead of being that human in the loop. We have gotten to a point where we have over-engineered recruiting. And we have gotten to a point where we've made it so cutting edge that we think anybody can do it. And that's not true.
I love when anyone's like, I can recruit. I'm like, false.
No, you can't.
I'm literally like, false. You literally can't even ask a question. Like, what do you mean you think you can recruit? I don't think everyone thinks like there's a natural talent in assessing people. And I'm like, none of you, it's not natural. I've done this work for like how many years? And even I've had to like reteach myself things to become even better at recruiting and assessing talent. So when someone comes to me and they're like, anyone can be a recruiter, I'm like,
Well, we went through a period where, again, and I still say this, is driven by people trying to sell you their technology, that everyone in your organization is a recruiter. Everyone's recruiting, because, again, they're like, oh, bring your people to us, get your hiring teams, get your referrals in, you'll make money. So recruiters weren't really, the recruiting teams weren't really respected. They weren't really given, again, they weren't really seen for the value that they have. But I learned a long time ago that recruiters are true generalists, because for us, because of what we do, especially those of us who work in services companies, like, you have to know a little something, and you're not an expert, but you have to know a little something about compensation. You have to know a little something about benefits. You have to know a little something about industrial psychology. You have to know a little something about the technology, the product, about the team. Like, you have to know something about everything and still do your job.
Yeah, when people shit on recruiters, I'm like, it's quiet. Psst, keep it quiet. Because I'm like, you do not understand how hard this job is. It is like sales and people and marketing and all of the functions where all of you do one of those. A recruiter does all of those in one day.
Yeah.
It's a killer talent that people just, when they're rude about it, I'm like, zip it.
The last thing is, probably a lot of folks are going to be like, oh, I always say recruiting is retention. And we never look at our folks that already work there. We don't. As soon as you get a job rec, what's the first thing you're doing? You're like, you're going to search. You're not even searching inside your ATS. That one you build, that one that you sourced candidates for and pulled them in there for hours. That one that you sent links to say, please apply to this job. Like, you're not even looking there. You're going outside the organization first step every single time, instead of looking at the folks who are already there.
That's a good point. I love that. I also think, like, when you said recruiting is retention, I also think, like, I used to talk about how when I was just in talent management and I didn't like oversee a people team,
Mhm.
how frustrated I was that there wasn't tighter alignment between recruiting and talent management. Because also the people who are recruiting have probably a good insight in like, what is this person's skills and capabilities today and where do they
Yes,
want to go in 6 months to 12 months? And I always felt like the feedback loop was broken
it is.
between like, TA and TM because I'm like, tell your development team this candidate took this job. Here are the areas they're really interested in. Here's where they want to learn and grow. You're basically like packaging like super secret intel and handing it to a team that can actually transact on it too. And their
Absolutely.
manager. Like you as a recruiter get so much insight when you're talking to the candidate that the
Mhm.
manager might not even get it. And you should take that and feed it to the manager so the manager knows what a talented person they have on their team and potentially how to grow them and coach them.
Yeah.
The Lord knows you tell the hiring managers to ask those questions in the interview process, and they're probably not asking them, or they're asking them and not really listening. So there's one thing I have to come back to though, because it was the first inefficiency you mentioned about like too long recruiting processes.
Mm.
What do you think? This is probably a hot take. What's the ideal length of time it should take for like a junior and mid-level role versus a senior role?
Length of time for an interview?
Yeah. Like total time. Let's say I'm an entry level person. I have like 1 to 3 years of experience. The role calls for like 1 to 3. How long should the interview process be from the very first phone screen to the offer?
Oh, that should only take about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And from I say this because again, you said from the initial phone screen.
Yeah.
So once I'm screening, I'm down selecting. Then I'm only submitting the best people. So
Yeah.
now you've interviewed, and I'm probably going to take a week or two to screen. I'm
Of
just going
course.
to be depending on the size of the organization, and how much bureaucracy is embedded.
Yeah.
Um,
Oof.
this could vary, but yeah, you can fill a junior entry level job in under 30 days, easy,
Love that.
easily,
Now,
easily.
how many interviews should it take to make a decision on the candidate?
Two, two.
Wow. What about a senior role? Everyone's always like, senior roles should take longer.
They should, and they do. That's the key difference, though. Like it's the time investment.
Okay.
There's a difference between hiring an intern and hiring an early
And
career. There's
yeah.
a difference between hiring a CEO and
Oh, yeah.
hiring a director. Like
Oh, yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
So yes, the time commitment is different. The time commitment from that person and the time commitment from the team. And I'm saying this because there is no sense of urgency to fill C-suite positions. It is designed to take forever. It is
Mm.
designed that way because number one, the idea is that there is only 3 people in the entire universe who can do this job. I'm just saying, like that's where companies are coming from.
Ugh.
This is the most awesome job to ever exist that we have to like search through everything to find the needle in the haystack. And we are going to take the time to find the needle in the haystack. By the way, the CEO is likely employed.
Yeah. That's a whole
And there's
nother.
a great deal of transition. Again, there's a great deal of time it takes for
Yeah.
them. They're not necessarily in a rush. Or
Mm.
they started their process well in advance of when they knew their transition was going to take place.
Yeah.
So I have a contract until 2026. I'm going to start now. I'm going to start what they call it, putting my feelers out.
Oh, I love that. I love when people tell me that because I'm like, so are you actually going to leave or not? Like, can you just tell me what the plan is here?
No, they're
Like,
like,
are
I'm
you
putting
leaving or
my
not?
feelers out. Listen, they're inviting you to golf. They're inviting you to
Never been invited to golf. Would never
coffee.
take
You
it.
haven't? Okay.
No,
You
I'm
will
not a
be.
golfer. I'm not a golfer. That's how I know the company's not for me. I'm like, invite me to a bookstore, invite me for a cup of coffee,
They will.
invite me to a dinner. But like to golf, I'm sorry for everyone listening who golfs. It's just not for me. It's
Okay.
not for. I
Yes.
don't know if it's like I don't know what it is about it. I've never been interested in it, but like invite me to a basketball game, courtside,
Yeah.
please. That's my dream.
Well, you can't really talk at a basketball game.
No, but that's good because I want to watch the sport. I'm kidding. I know it's an interview. I know they want me to talk to them, but you're right. Golf actually makes a lot of sense for that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so executive definitely take longer.
Yes.
I've been having this debate internally about junior level to mid roles because it's like how many, you said 2 conversations. I know people that are like, this should take 5 to 6 conversations in 3 hours. How do you actually get someone to understand that that's not effective?
That's a lot of time for someone
I
who,
know. What are they going to
okay,
talk about? They have 1 year of experience.
right. That's a lot of time because this is no disrespect to folks with 1 year of experience in a particular job. You might be the subject matter expert at that level. Like you might be the best
For
one
sure.
at that
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But there's 100 other people that can do that job as opposed to like the higher up you go, the smaller the pool even gets.
Yeah.
So you're really willing to spend 500 hours on recruiting for a $50,000 job? Probably not.
I would say no, but I have seen like I think that's one of the hardest conversations to have is when people are like, but more conversations will get us a better outcome so we hire the right candidate. And
Mhm.
I'm always like, more conversations, quantity does not equal quality. If you are asking the right questions in the first conversation, by the
Correct.
time they get to the second and third conversation, you should have a pretty good sense of if I'm going to hire this person or not, and if they're going to be successful in the job or not.
You know what else? When
What
you're
else?
getting at that higher level or when you're having them meet with the whole team, this is how I got folks to start to look at it when I was having these conversations.
Yeah.
And I was like, you want the what? The VPs to talk to them? Or you want how many VPs to talk to them? Or the director of HR to talk to them? Or this person to talk to them? Like all these other C-level people. I was like, their salary is X. That's how much an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so you're willing to spend, and again, for some reason, for some folks, I was like, you're willing to spend $3,000 just on interviews.
But people don't think like that. And that's what I wish was like, I wish we did more of this to be like, here's our interview process. Here's what this is actually costing us internally. I think I might go do that exercise. I might do that cost analysis with my own team.
Well,
And just show
cost per hire has always been a metric that we were supposed to capture, but we've always done it so haphazardly. And we look at cost per hire as what their salary is. You know, the average of a person's salary, the average of, you know, like we don't even like it's even impossible to talk about all your technological assets and like how you're pulling those into the process. But again, one data point you can gather is, okay, you've had 7 executives talk to this one person.
Yeah.
How much did that cost?
I'm going to go do it. Stay tuned. I'm going to go do it. I'm not going to, maybe I won't be public with it, but I need to go talk to my CEO about that because that's definitely something I'm going to do.
That's a data point.
I mean, it is. Okay. I want to talk candidate experience for 1 second because I feel like sometimes I know a lot of recruiters are empathetic. They're thinking about the candidate experience. I know that. What is the most important part of candidate experience in your opinion?
Communication, but communicating with people the way that they want to be communicated with. I don't believe in the golden rule. I'm a platinum rule person. Treat people the way they want to be treated. Like if a person does not want you to email them all times of the night, or they prefer an email over a phone call, especially for bad news, honor that. Operate the way, and it's like I said, as best you can. That's not a hard ask. Not a hard ask. Number 1, communicate with me the way that I want to. Stop don't just you have their phone number because you maybe did a phone screen, whatever case may be, but like don't text them if they did not give you permission to text them, because some people don't want to communicate that way. Don't search for their number at work. Don't call their job. Don't ask them ask them for information that they're not ready to give you because you haven't extended them an offer. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I always ask the candidates, like, how do you want me to best reach you? Like, is it an email?
Yes.
Is it a text? Do you want me to call you?
Correct.
And I think that is like, it's like a lost art form. Like, why aren't people asking that more? I don't know. It's like the most impactful part. Like, and people, I think like the part of candidate experience that I think about is like people always remember how you made them feel.
Yep.
And if you disregarded their basic wants and needs in a situation, like even though we as the employer, and I'm using air quotations, hold all the power when we're recruiting, that doesn't mean we treat people like shit.
Correct.
But sometimes it's also hard because candidates are like, well, I want feedback on why I didn't get the job. And I'm like, well, a lot of times, like we were evaluating multiple people, like, and we just decided to go with a different person. Like, so I think like that is also a hard spot I've seen recruiters get into where they're like, I want to treat this person right, but I don't also know what to say to them when I have to deliver this like really hard news.
Okay. And be transparent about that and say, I don't know what to say. But only say that if you've actually asked the question already.
Yeah.
You know, like, did you ask the hiring manager why? And they were like, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I didn't like their shoes. Like, first of all, again, that's another opportunity for you to empower yourself in the hiring process and really take ownership of the things that you can control. Inconsistent evaluation is something that you can control. Don't accept the answer of, again, something that doesn't align with what was set, the parameters that were set forth at the beginning of this process. Like, okay, at what point did this change? Why wasn't I notified? Okay, now that I know, can we go back to, and did we review everyone like that? Like, again, like I said, if you didn't ask the question, then you can't give feedback. But give them as much as you can. Give them as much as is necessary, as much as you're comfortable with. But don't just tell people, I don't know. Don't just tell people we selected someone else. And when you do tell someone, I don't even think I think we should stop saying we selected someone else. I think people don't give up raggedy, a rat's ass why someone else was selected, because that's what we're setting up. We're telling you why someone else is amazing and awesome and you suck. That's what we're doing. Instead of saying, here's what we evaluated you on and here's where you can get better.
Yeah. But I feel like that high touch is so hard for a lot of people with like the volume and bandwidth we're dealing with. But I'm like, if a candidate makes it through multiple rounds of talking to us,
you have a relationship now and you owe them that.
Yeah, we can take a few minutes and say, hey, this is like really not going to work and here's why.
Yes.
But it's tough. Okay, I asked recruiting I asked on the job seeker side how we use AI. Any tips for recruiters that need to leverage AI?
Same thing. Most importantly, I think is efficiency, because we've run out of time to do things. And there are some things we have to let off of our plate, like scheduling.
Would love a tool to do that. We manually schedule right now. We're moving in a different direction soon. Don't worry.
Okay.
We will get the automated scheduling soon enough.
You use AI for communications as well, because there are so many times I'm writing an email and I'm like, why is this so long? Like, what are you doing?
Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know how to start this. So I'll just like go to AI and be like, write me some copy. And then I end up editing it. But like, I need someone to start it for me, you know?
It's like, is this a love letter? I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, hey, I hope you had a great week. I hope this note finds you well.
I hope this note finds you well. No, this note does not find me well. This note finds me in despair, actually.
Correct.
I'm dying. Okay. Wrapping up with one tip that you would give recruiters who are listening. What's your one tip? What's your one juiciest thing you can think to tell them?
Man, hang in there. Like, just hang in there.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm serious. Like,
hang in there. We got you.
Hang in there.
Yeah, that's a good tip. It's a hard job. And if anyone tells you it's not a hard job, they can shut the F up, which I'm like on this podcast. Thank you so much, first of all, for making time for me today. I'll link all your resources in the show notes, but if someone wants to get in touch with you super fast, wants to get to know you, what's the best way they can do that?
I'm everywhere at Trap Recruiter.
Love that. Wait, tell everybody we've buried the lead. What does TRAP stand for?
Oh, trusted, relationship builder, accountable, proactive.
I love it.
Yeah.
The first time I heard you explain that, I obviously researched you and listened to some of your stuff, but I was like, I didn't know that's where the name came from. Trap Recruiter. I love it. Thank you so, so much for spending an hour with me, sharing your expertise. Honestly, this was the best part of my day. You made me laugh so, so hard. And I have a feeling you will be back to the podcast again because this was so much.
You will be on Women's History Month on Trap Chat. So
I know. I can't wait. We're going to have such a good time. Anytime you want to come on here, there's always space for you. And thank you for all the great work you're doing. And I'm so thankful I get to know you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for tuning in. Keep up with all the latest HR resources by subscribing on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen. And if you love I Hate It Here, tell an HR friend. I'll see you next time.